Well, it was fun coming out and visiting your place a couple weeks
Thank
ago
you.
or a week ago, and wish I could have stayed a little longer. But that those kids looked like they were having fun. So, and you're amazing with them. Your
Thank you.
ability to
Thank-
control the group was awesome. So, I want to know your secret.
Oh, I'm a teacher.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, 5 years, 27 years in the classroom. So,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
yeah, that's pretty much. After a while, you start to just, get to understand, especially with middle schoolers, what works and what doesn't work. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, just to start this, Jamie, tell me a little bit about MAP's program, Mustang Ambassador Program, and what it is that makes this special for you, and how long you've been doing this, and a little history about you and your involvement in the program.
yes. Well, Mustang Ambassador Program began as a nonprofit about 11 years ago. In fact, Susan Sutherland is our executive director. We met at a roundup. So they were rounding up the Pryor Mountain wild horses. Susan ended up getting a horse from the roundup, and so did I. And we just had chatted. And, she's like, gosh, I need some help with my horses. Love to bring them down sometime. And I'm like, oh, that'd be fantastic. And then we kind of chatted some more. She brought her horse Bravo down. And she just chatted. She just really wanted her horses to be ambassadors for their wild counterparts, so that we could spread the message about what is happening with the plight of our American Mustangs. And so I just was like, well, that's cool. So I was driving to the gas station one day, and I said Mustang Ambassador Program. Well, it kind of sounds like a cheesy name, and it's long, but the acronym MAP, is so
Mhm.
essential because horses have been a navigational tool for my life. And, many people that own horses would probably have said the same thing. The confidence that they give, that personal kind of connection and relationship, the, ability to be authentic. And so we came up with this really great idea to allow our Mustangs to be not only ambassadors for their wild counterparts, but to also really, get people to feel that connection, where they
Mhm.
could kind of become authentic in who they are. And since I'd already worked with children through teaching, we decided that kids would be the best place to start. So we started equine leadership programs. I decided that we can't just have a regular horse camp. We needed to add the leadership component to it because so much of that is lacking in
Mhm.
schools today. So each and every day of our program focuses on a different leadership skill. So we have self management, communication, problem solving, relationship, and the importance of good relationships. And then our last day is resilience. And so we have kind of, geared it towards really teaching each day those leadership strategies and having activities not just with the horses, but also with each other that really kind of correspond with those kind of skills. So we've been, going strong at our new ranch, Wild Spear Ranch, which you were able to visit in Calhoun area for about 11 years now. So Susan graciously was the one that bought the ranch, and we were able to put our programming out there. I have a smaller property here, which is only about 10 acres. But and we had been doing programming before that here, but it was nicer to have a much bigger area. And I think that the kids could really feel the wildness of the horses when they see them out grazing in the pasture and acting with their herd mentality. So yeah, it's been a true blessing to be out there.
Yeah. So I was reading your kind of your mantra, and it says the Mustang Ambassador Program teaches life and leadership skills to youth and adults through equine. So talk a little bit about your adult program.
So we actually open our programming to adults should they want to, which is really
Mhm.
cool. So we do our week-long summer programs, and we actually have a few adults coming to our last program, which is pretty interesting. We also have we open up to workshops and clinics. So we do training clinics, we do different kinds of workshops. We had a program going for a while called Wild Horses, Wild Women, just a program really geared towards helping women kind of open up a little bit in who they are and kind of coming alive and using the horses to kind of do that. And we've also have our Horses for Heroes, which is a military benefit program that we have just recently started. And also, what we have found is that the kids get hooked, and then their
Mhm.
parents just have to be there, so they also get hooked. And many of our parents end up actually becoming, some of our great volunteers. And that's really the heart of our program too, is that none of us are paid. We are all 100% volunteer-based organization. All the money goes back to the horses and being able to take care of them. So.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. So, what is the best way for people to help? I mean, I understand they can donate money and so forth, but you also have volunteers. And so, what are the different opportunities that MAP provides?
So MAP provides definitely volunteer opportunities. We, have a herd of about 30 horses. So definitely manure mucking, to grooming horses, to just kind of spending time with them. Some of the volunteers that know how to ride will sometimes work the horses for us. We have other horses that are in training right now. Some of our younger Mustangs that are in training to get trained under saddle. And we're always looking for people that are definitely, trainers to help out in areas like that. I have
Yeah.
me. We have another trainer, Bobby, that works with us, pretty heavily. But and then also we, yeah, obviously, I mean, you're feeding horses, the mouths, like hay is one of our biggest, bills, feed bills, especially in the winter. And some of our horses, our senior horses, are on grain too. So they're costly. They're costly to take care of. They're costly to, obviously vet care.
Mhm.
And one of our goals is to just make sure that all the money that comes into our program goes back to the horses. And we also provide permanent sanctuary, so none of our horses leave. They if they can't be used as a riding horse anymore, they still have groundwork potential, and they can teach kids through grooming and leading and things like that. And then they
Yeah.
live on for their life. Or they live here. So we have a 36-year-old Arabian with us here at my place, and he doesn't have any teeth left, so he gets mashed twice a day. But yeah, so I think that's another part of the program that I really like, and it's tough. I mean, there's glory in rescuing a horse, and then, oh look, I get to adopt it out, right? Like, and there's a lot of people that do that. It's a lot harder to find money for people who are permanent sanctuaries. We don't you don't adopt our horses out. We keep them forever. They remain.
Okay.
And we like that. We like that because I've had horses go home with other people, and I've had them come back. And I don't
Mhm.
want to be that. I want them to just live out their life with their horse family. One of the things that they didn't have an opportunity to do in the wild. So hopefully they'll have that here.
And so, how many acres encompasses MAP?
So Wild Spirit Ranch is the predominant ranch that most programming is on, and that is about 318 acres. And that has quite a few different pastures that the horses can kind of roam on. And then we have my property here, which is about 10 acres, and then we have some other areas like that we can have for grazing, so it's up to about 13. So yeah, I mean we've got some pasture. So in a good rainy year like this year, it's really been great. But last year was a
Yeah.
drought. It was a tough year. So, um, and that was tough, and tough to say like we're not gonna get rid of these guys. We got to find a way to make it work. So because they're with us forever. So
Well, hopefully, by making other people aware of your program and what you do, um, we can help that, by getting
yeah.
the word out for you. And then I would love to share any videos that you have. Is there a special story of an individual that has really benefited from your programs that you can think of that just would be a good story for people to hear that you could share?
Yeah, we actually have a lot. In fact, I'll tell if it's okay. I tell a couple.
Yeah.
One of our girls, she was actually one of my sixth graders in my classroom, and just really struggled with going to school. Really struggled with confidence. Would stay at home a lot, and so we it was hard because the schools try to push the truancy court, but it doesn't really go through. So, one of the ways that I helped hook her was horses. And, she actually had started coming out to the ranch, and we made it a point. In fact, one of the math teachers at our school would pay for her programs because we knew that her coming out to the ranch was motivation to also come to school. And so we kind of used it as her little carrot, right? That she could come out to the ranch if she came to school. And it was pretty effective for a while. She also just really grew in confidence. And really just, it was great. It was great to kind of see her kind of come alive and actually finally, realize that, there's more to life than just, this little box we put ourselves in, and there's so many more amazing opportunities that, you can be a part of. So today she's homeschooling now. So they found a great homeschooling program because the school thing was still a bit of a difficulty, but she actually works for a ranch down her road, that she can walk
Mm,
to every day. She's taking care of a horse that she is hopefully going to buy and, train and work with. So,
mm.
but we've got lots of stories like that, kids that come into our program. Another gal, she's a senior in high school this year, but she came into our program as a rider, and she came in riding and growing in her confidence. She ended up becoming one of our volunteers, and then ended up becoming one of our assistant instructors.
We've lost audio.
So we taught her
Yeah.
enough in horsemanship. I told her, I got a great opportunity for you to do a tip challenge where she could do the trainer incentive program with Mustangs. And so she ended up adopting and training and gentling her own Mustang. And now she's
Wow.
training him under and she has another Mustang to keep him company. So yeah, just really, really neat things. And the other thing we try to do is we just started 2 years ago. We lost our dearly beloved Bravo, who was one of our first horses in our program that Susan brought to me for training. And we started a scholarship program in his name. And so a lot of the students that end up becoming kids in our program, that are now assistant instructors or just volunteers, they have the potential to earn the Bravo Award for that year, and they get a small scholarship. So it's been kind of a neat way that, we continue trying to give back to the community.
Yeah. So you are a nonprofit,
Mm-hmm.
and it means that any donations are tax deductible.
Absolutely.
And we would love to help promote that. And as a volunteer, what kind of things does a volunteer get out of your program? Like, what are
Um,
some of the benefits of being a volunteer?
Um, Volunteers, first of all, a lot of our volunteers just learn. I mean, they, are so educated because that's what I do. I mean, I'm a teacher, so I can't not teach. And so they get a lot of instruction that way. And some of them are first time around horses. And so they get pretty excited about that. They definitely get that real connection because one of our volunteers was just out today and she has this real special connection with one of our horses. Her name is S, which means hope. And so she gets that connection. She gets that connection with the horses, but it's also that we have this really great community, of just people coming together. We have a common purpose in mind because we want to impact children's lives, but we also want to really help the horses. And so as a result, there's this really amazing community that we've created, and the people that are just it's a blessing to be with. That's what I said today. My rose of the day, my highlight of my day was just that I get to spend time with these people. I mean, we're paid. We spend hours out day, in the sun on these equine leadership programs, but it's awesome because it's that connection with one another, the connection with the horses, and seeing the light on these children's faces as they start to get it. So
Yeah. So how long throughout the year does your program run? Because I know you're a teacher, so that limits your time during the school year, but how long does the program really run?
we run 4 summer programs. And then oftentimes we run even into the fall. So, like last fall, we did a Sunday September series. So that was like every Sunday for the whole month of September. And we don't just do lessons like regular lessons, we do like longer sessions. So the kids stay out there all day. So it's almost like a
Mm,
camp day for the whole day on Sunday. And so, we've really tried to like, expedite the idea that, spending an hour a day with a horse once a week or an hour once a week with a horse for a lesson just really doesn't cut it. And
mhm.
it's harder to. So we try to integrate more longer kind of term, opportunities for students to actually kind of connect and learn and ride. So,
When I
so
was out, go ahead.
oh,
When I was out there, you were doing so much educating about the environment, the history of the wild horse. I was fascinated and I learned a lot. So I thought it was really interesting. Talk a little bit more about your other programs like that group of kids that came out. I don't know if they were there for the whole day, but can you explain what you were doing with that group?
Yeah. So a lot of times what I end up doing is I gear my education towards whatever groups are out there. So that particular group was from the Catamount Institute. And the Catamount Institute is actually, they do day camps during the summer also that focus on really environmental kind of issues. And so I gear as the program director, I create curriculum for the different groups that will come out there. And so for my goals for them was to really be in line with what their goals for the Catamount Institute are, which is really being that kind of environment where students are getting out into nature, they're learning about issues that are impacting nature. And so for me, it was about trying to teach them a little bit more about the wild horse situation and the conservation impact, as well as like our wild lands, how we have to be great stewards of our lands to be good stewards of our wildlife too. And so it's fun. It's fun to be able to work with different groups. We've worked with Girl Scout groups before, and we gear our programming towards the Girl Scouts and what they need for their badges. We have geared the Catamount Institute. We've had middle school groups come out just for like a volunteer day through like, their care programs. And so we've, geared our programming towards that. We've even done outdoor education programs when COVID was rampant, and kids couldn't do their outdoor education programs. We kind of set up outdoor programs for them to learn about different things, and we had different groups, not just like. I mean, they'd learn about the cowboy way, but we also talked about Native Americans, and we talked about like some of the um, uh, some of the other hunters that actually had their skins and their hides. And I mean, we do a whole we gear our programming towards whatever a particular group can need. And that's the beauty of like me being a teacher. We have another teacher in our program who's a science teacher, so we just kind of gear it towards what standards these individual groups might need. So it's been really kind of fun, and the horses are definitely part of it, but it's not just all of it. So
Yeah. Do you encompass any other animals in the program at all?
we have miniature horses and miniature donkeys, so they're a part of it. We have not reached out into, at my place, we actually have quite a few other animals. So there are, every now and then we have reptiles, so we'll bring in reptiles. And, we've used the reptiles in different kinds of programs. And so, yeah, my husband as well is very passionate about teaching people about animals and, just being able to, like, I think that's, snakes. People are afraid of snakes. It's just like this, thing that people snakes. And, I think with proper education, maybe we can, eliminate some of that fear and provide a little bit more of a healthier respect. So
So, and your husband's involved in the program. So he does a
he's our
lot. So tell me a little bit about his participation.
yeah. So he's actually our maintenance and ranch manager. So again, he none of us are paid. So he comes out. He actually went to farrier school, so he could trim our horses' feet for us.
Mm.
We could save a little money that way. He does a lot of our maintenance work, some of our electrician work, a lot of our like fixing up work that he might need to do. We had to, um, dig a trench to put in our electric to our barn, and so he just does a lot of that extra work on the side. Plus, being the farrier and he actually has been involved a little bit in the education component as well. So
And so
it's a
the
family.
horses that are out, yeah, the horses that are out on the range that we went and saw or tried to see, they kind of didn't want to cooperate that day, but we got to get a peek at them. They don't have to have their feet done, obviously, because they can't be done.
Yeah.
So they naturally wear their hooves down.
Yep.
And so he only has to worry about the ones that are being used for riding and that kind of thing. So how many
Yep.
horses do you have that are actually tame and that you use in the program versus the wild
Um,
horses?
so the wild horse is only 12 horses, and that is a separate thing from our herd. So we have about 30 in our program, and then the wild horse herd is on the back side of the ranch. The wild horse herd is actually, I guess, probably managed, or maybe not managed is the best way. They're owned by the Cloud Foundation. So the Cloud Foundation is another nonprofit organization here in
Okay.
Colorado. And so we have actually partnered with them to provide support for these horses that were removed, and they just needed to really kind of live out their life. And so that's actually a totally separate part of the ranch. They actually have another 70 acres on the backside that they purchased just for that particular herd.
Hmm.
So we've just taken the advantage of using them as part of our programs because we take care of them and, help to manage them. And, if there's a sick one, we do what we can, in a, in
Hmm.
an environment to really kind of help them out. So,
Yeah. So, and then the number of horses that you guys actually have on the ranch that you use.
well, between the two properties, because we have my property too. So we do have about 30. So
30. Okay. Yeah.
we have
And
miniature and two miniature donkeys. So yeah.
yeah. Well, is there anything else? Like, can people sponsor a particular horse?
Yes, in fact, that is, we love it when we do have people that want to sponsor a horse because we love being able to get them out with that horse and be able to have horsey time with them. And actually, that's really helpful. So we have a few people that will do that. They'll sponsor monthly, or we have a couple people that will just, give an annual donation to sponsor that particular horse.
Hmm.
And of course, that goes towards feed, but it'll also go towards, their teeth getting floated and any other kind of medical care, vaccines that they might need. So
Hmm. Well, I sure appreciate you giving us some details about what you do. Is there anything else you'd like to share about the MAP program?
I have really just, we love to be open and we love to share with people. We'd love to
Mhm.
have people come out. So give us a call, set up a time, come out and see what we do. Yeah, I think the best support comes from people who are really like see it firsthand what we do. You called me today because you saw firsthand what we do and you saw that kids were interested. I mean, they're engaged with
Hmm.
what's happening. I
Yeah.
think that people that we can get message into to see what's happening, I think the better off we are. So.
Well, you definitely have a gift, Jamie, and I really appreciate your time. And we'll share this video and anything else that you want to do from time to time. If you have a special program coming up, we'd love to hear from you. So
Oh,
thank you
absolutely.
so much. I
You're
really
very welcome.
appreciate it.
Hope to see you
And
back at the.
yeah, as I can get time, I'd love to sneak back out there again. I think it was really a fun experience. I learned a lot, got a lot of exercise, which was great.
Yep. Yeah.
And definitely it's a program that would is near and dear to your heart for sure. So I just
Yes.
want
Yes.
to thank you, and we will be in touch again. And for anybody listening to this, it's really is a great program. The horses are really well cared for. From what I could see, it was just an amazing place. The facility's beautiful. It's in a beautiful part of the country. And Jamie, you're a rock star with those kids. I was really impressed. So,
Thank you. You're the best.
um,
So sweet.
yeah. So, all right. Well, that kind of concludes it. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll be visiting with you again. And you have a good rest of your day. Thank you
Thank
so
you. And
much for your time.
rain, getting rain. It's great.
I know. I know. So, we are enjoying the rain for sure. So thank you so much, Jamie, and we will be in touch soon.
Okay. Thank you, Karen.
All righty. Bye bye.